today I'm going to show you how to make a monster in a jar. So he's like your little pet. So first you're going to need a long jar. You can have a short one too, but it'll just reduce the size of your monster. So I just have this little sauce jar. I just use a glass jar because I feel like it's sturdier. I don't know, it was the only jar I had. So you're going to need a jar. Some Sculpey. Now this is super Sculpey. It's a little bit more expensive than regular Sculpey, and it just works a little bit better for more sculptures. I'm going to use this just because I've never used it before and I want to try it out. If you don't want your symbol or whatever, you could always paint it, so you're going to need some sort of paint, and I would suggest either using Mod Podge or some sort of cover to seal in the paint, because acrylic paint likes to chip. And you'll also need paint to paint your monster from whatever you want to, whatever you decide to pick, whatever monster you decide to pick. You'll also need some wire, especially if you want him to bend or pose him. If you don't have to use the wire, but I do suggest it to kind of give your little sculpture some stability. And some wire cutters so you can handle your wire. And the last things you'll need are some fabric and a needle and thread that match. I'm not using this fabric, I'm just using this as an example. You also don't have to dress your monster in actual fabric clothing, you can just sculpt them on. I think I'm going to just use actual fabric so I save on Sculpey. The first thing I want to do is measure out my jar, just to see how big I want the monster to be inside the jar. Because we obviously don't have a whole lot of room to work with, so we're going to need to make it smaller so it can't be a huge sculpture. That, and it has to at least fit down, so it's going to have to be kind of thin, unless you want it, unless it's able to just shove in there. I don't say it, but right now I'm quickly trying to draw out the base line of the monster, and then I'll be twisting some wire for the actual armature. Once you've got your armature done, you're going to want to slide him off to the side and make sure you keep your reference so when we actually put clay on him, you'll know how wide you want him. Or her. But right now I'm going to test to see how well he fits in the jar. Now he fits pretty well. His shoulder span kind of touches the sides, but that's okay. And he's a little bit tall, so I'll probably bend his feet a little bit more. There we go. So now that we know he fits in there, I'm going to start adding clay. Now because I want him bendable a little bit, I'm not going to be like posing him all the time, especially with someone as tiny as him, and because I'm using clay instead of like epoxy or something, he's not going to be able to withstand the constant movement. So where I'm going to put clay is I'm going to put clay on his head, obviously, and that's where I'm going to do the most sculpting. And then on his hands, his weapon, and his feet, and maybe some in his like chest, shoulder region. So the only thing I'll really be able to move are his legs and his arms, but like bend at the elbow. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Okay, just to kind of give myself a break and to show you guys progress I've made on him. There we go, we got a kind of rough looking monster. I don't know if I said it before, I just keep saying monster, but I'm making a Jason Voorhees. This is what he's going to look like under his mask. I want and plan on making him a mask. That's kind of why I have this divot, and plus I'm looking at reference pictures and it looks like he has the divot anyways, so I want to make a removable mask. So yeah, now I just need to add the hands and add the feet and bake according to package instructions. Once he's baked, I'm going to make the mask because I'm going to use his face as like the mold of it, so I can kind of fit it to his face, and then after everything is baked I will paint him and then I'll make his clothes. Okay, after a couple of hours of sculpting, I'm finally done sculpting the basis, and I'll make sure he still fits. Yeah, he fits fine. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to bake him, and then when he's done, yeah, make his stuff. Okay, while the mask bakes, I'm going to do the little weird tufts of hair he has on the side of his head before I start painting. And I'm going to use some black yarn. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue it to the side of his head of where the hair is. Then I'm going to brush it out because the yarn's braided. And then I'm going to paint it to be a little bit more gray to match his actual hair color. And then I'll start painting him. Aside from his kind of derpy face, I'm still not done painting him yet. But I wanted to start by making his clothes, or at least show you how I make clothes. Now what you probably want to do, because it's kind of hard for him to get dressed as an armature, you're going to want to sew the stuff to him. So just kind of trace around his body to get a general idea of like what he looks like, and then just kind of make a shirt pattern there, and you're going to want 2 of those, and you're going to cut them out and then sew it to his body. Okay, now ignore the fact that he looks kind of goofy, but I just got done painting him and clothing him. Now I finished his mask as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take some ribbon and then glue it to the sides of his mask. So I'm going to take ribbon and place it on each side and then have one connecting down the middle. Alright, and when I come back he should be all done, and then I will place him in the jar. Alright, and our little Jason Voorhees is all done. I gave him a removable mask. And there we go. Now all we need to do is put them in the jar, and with the jar is what I did is I kind of made it, I painted the back of it and then I sprayed it. I sprayed a little too close there. There we go. So it can kind of look like water, because anybody who watches any of the Friday the 13th movies knows that Jason was afraid of water and then he comes out of water. I don't know. There's a lot of water around him, so, you know. And one last check to make sure he still fits. And there we go. You could, however, if you wanted, string him to the top so he won't dance around too much. But there we go. There's your little monster in a jar. He didn't come out exactly the way I wanted him to, but I think I'm okay with that because I have more of a little figure now than I do just like a little ornament, because what I initially planned on doing is having him hang from the top, but I don't know, I think it gives the same effect if he was there. Plus, I don't think if I hung him from the top I'd be able to find a way to make sure he can take his mask off, which I guess doesn't matter if you're going to keep him in the jar. But yeah, here's my little monster in a jar. And I hope you enjoyed our little monster in the jar where I made Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th. And even though it's not Friday, it's still the 13th. So I'm going to open up the 13th day, but not before telling you about the movie of the day. And the movie of the day is Goosebumps. They made a movie, but for today I want to talk about the TV show. Yes, I can tell you about a TV series as the movie of the day. It's my show. I can do what I want. Anyway, this series is based off of R.L. Stine's bestsellers list. Each episode has some great childhood acting, but the props are pretty cool. Some of the episodes are, well, not that great, but I still enjoy a lot of the episodes nonetheless. If you don't want to sit down and binge watch the entire show like a normal human being, I suggest you watch these following episodes, which are The Haunted Mask, Welcome to Dead House, Night of the Living Dummy 1 and 2, Stay Out of the Basement, and One Day in Horrorland. I suggest this for the whole family because it's kind of campy, but still kind of funny enough for the adults to really enjoy it. Plus the special effects are pretty cool for a kid series. I got all candy this time. You guys should like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow for more spooky videos. Bye!